So now I am so pleased to introduce Andrea Palmer. I first met Andrea back when we were on campus in the AC Hub. She helped us with a Valentine's Day event. It was a wine and cheese night. It was super nice, but I'm so glad that we were able to connect again and work together. Andrea has completed the Wine and Spirit Education Trust course and is in the sommelier program. So I'm going to now pass it over to Andrea to take it away.
Thanks so much, Michelle. I'm glad you guys could join us today. I know that with Canada Day looming, you guys have a lot of demands on, what type of snacks you're going to serve. Even if you're just celebrating isolated with your family in your backyard, there's bound to be kids and probably some people who are going to be driving and not looking to have full-on liquor-heavy cocktails. So I'm going to start you guys off with one of my favorites, mocktails. You don't have to put any alcohol in it. It's pretty easy to make as well. And it is a grapefruit granita. So I'm from the southern United States and we do this kind of stuff all the time. It's essentially just whatever delicious, fresh squeezed citrus or other kind of fruit juice. You've got your ice and a little bit of simple syrup. And so I'm going to break down the recipe for you really quick, but I got to move quick because I have ice in here and it's going to melt. So what I have right now in my blender is 2 cups of ice, 1.5 cups of grapefruit juice, 1/4 cup of water, 1/2 cup of simple syrup, which is a 50-50 split of water and sugar, which is melted down to make a simple syrup. And then I also have 1/4 cup of lime juice in here. And it is just gonna be the most refreshing, fresh thing ever. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on to my blender. And I'm gonna mute really quick while I blend that up so I can set up the next recipe I want to show you guys. And if you guys are thinking of questions while I've got it muted, Michelle can take those and I can answer them when I come off mute, okay? All right, here we go. Hold on.
Thanks for your question, Kat. So I'll just read this out once Andrea's done. Again, feel free to type out your questions in the chat or you can raise your hand and you can ask them live. So Andrea, we just have a question. Can this be made with orange juice instead of grapefruit?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. When I was a younger kid, what I would do often is I would actually take orange juice and like lemonade and whatever and just kind of blend it up and pretend I was my mom. Do you know what I mean? Just blend it. So any kind of citrus works really, really well. You can also do red fruits. I've got a raspberry simple syrup here that I made for one of my next recipes, and it's delicious in this with just a little bit of orange juice, and you add your raspberry simple syrup, and that's all the sweetening you need. So what I've got here is a coupe glass, and I want to show you guys how I serve this. A coupe glass, it could be any kind of drinking glass that you could use. Technically, a granita is served in a coupe or even a little martini glass. So I'm going to go ahead and pour my little slush that I made here. And it's quite, with all that ice, it's quite thick. So if you need to go in with a spoon when you make it at home, that's fine. But it's just so delicious. You look at that right there. And I usually garnish with a little bit of lime wedge because I do have lime in it. And it's just, people just smile and are really happy whenever I serve this. It's just refreshing and really light. So did you guys have any questions about the granita here? Or a preference on what you'd like to amend it with?
There was a question. Did you say there's lime juice? Someone was asking if it was wine juice or lime.
Oh, that would be really fun. But it is lime. It is lime. You could put wine in it. You could. You absolutely could. I have many a time, instead of putting my grapefruit juice, I have a 1.5 cups of the pink grapefruit. I would do a rosé wine, and then I would just add a little bit of citrus juice and simple syrup in it, and it still comes out delicious. That's the best part. You really just need ice and something delicious. It's fantastic, fantastic. I'm gonna have to drink all of these later. Thank goodness there is no alcohol in it. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to, so this, I wanna just say really quick, this recipe here You can serve it any time of day. We traditionally have it with our brunches and lunches, and later in the day, like, you know, when we're watching the fireworks back home, but you could absolutely do this for breakfast. About flavor syrups, because this is called a mocktail workshop, and one of the big components of cocktails, which is what this is a mockery of, is that you do have your simple syrups and your flavor syrups. So to make a simple syrup, you've got your sugar, plain old, you know, granulated sugar, nothing fancy, and then you also have your water. So for this specific syrup, this is a raspberry syrup that I use. I just took some raspberries and I added a couple of blueberries for color, not necessarily for flavor, to make it just a little bit darker, because we're going to be mixing it. So I've got a cup of raspberries here, or a cup of raspberries that I used, 1/2 a cup of granulated sugar, and 1 cup of water. And what I did was I put it into a pot on low heat, and I just let it simmer, and then passed it through a sieve to get this clarified solution that you see right here. So what we're gonna do is essentially a take on a sparkling mimosa. And what I like to do with that is you can just take any kind of natural sparkling drink. I've got a San Pellegrino white grapefruit here. It's incredibly delicious. You could use orange juice, plain orange juice for this, but I do like my drinks to be sparkling, especially if they are a mockery of a cocktail. I want that experience of something sparkling. And so what I do is I take just a few tablespoons of my syrup. I usually do about 3, but you can do as many as you like. I'm gonna do 4 here actually. And then I take a little bit of a garnish. You can do grapefruit, you can do lime, lemon. I have lime and grapefruit here, and since I did do a lime for the last one, I'm gonna throw in a little grapefruit wedge right here. This is super easy, super simple. You could get a teenager in the house to prepare these for you while you're waiting for everyone to show up. And you just pour a little bit of that in there, and it makes a beautiful pink little ombre mocktail. I don't know if you guys can see there that it goes from a really light pink down to a little bit darker there. And the more syrup you use, the darker it will be. It'll come up a little bit higher each time, but the whole trick to getting these pretty ombre cocktails or mocktails is that you use a sugar-based syrup. So it's got to be quite sugar heavy, so that the sugar sits on the bottom with all of that pigment and makes a very, very beautiful little cocktail. And you can put as many slices of garnish as you like into that. So just again, for the ratio here for single serve, I poured about 1/2 cup of the white grapefruit sparkling soda. You can use any sparkling soda. I had 1 wedge of grapefruit, and this is 4 tablespoons of my raspberry simple syrup. And as the guest drinks the cocktail or mocktail, it will swirl a little bit and just make it all over pink. But when you're setting it down and serving it, it's just very pretty for guests to look at, and they wonder, oh, how did you do that? Which is what I love personally. So one thing with all of the mocktails that you're going to see today, they are quite sugar heavy a little bit, because they do use either syrups or a flavored drink. So one alternative that you could do if you do not want the extra sugar blasts, instead of using sodas or sparkling juices, you could use club soda, or you could use tonic water, and it would be the same ratio. You just might have a slightly more dull, fresh, less punchy fruity and sweet flavor. You would have more of a fresh, calming, refreshing, sparkling water type flavor as opposed to a juice. Okay, do we have any questions about our second mocktail? Let's see here. I see someone waiting to come in. No, we're all good to move on?
Yeah, that drink looks amazing though. I love that one. The pink is so pretty.
Not to drink it. And actually for my niece's birthday a couple years ago, I did this with a little cotton candy cloud on the very top. You just have to make sure it doesn't touch any of the liquid, but you can sit a little tuft of cotton candy right on top, and it looks like a little fantasy dream. And I'm trying not to sip on these. I'm trying to be good while I'm working. So my next cocktail here is fairly simple, more or less. It does, again, use a white grapefruit soda. It also uses a little bit of the plain simple syrup that I made. So again, we're talking about a 50-50 ratio, water and sugar, and I actually just used lemon juice here. So 1 cup water, 1 cup sugar, melted down, and I did put a little bit of lemon juice, about 1/4 cup, to give it that citrusy flavor, because what we're essentially going to do is make a very fresh, just sparkling lime juice mocktail. Typically, I would do this as if I were doing the cocktail version of it, kind of like a lime gin and tonic kind of deal. That's what this recipe reminds me a lot of. And it's actually pretty great to serve in a glass for someone that you know is driving, but they still want to sit back with a nice tumbler or something. And it's fairly simple. You really just need a couple of spoonfuls of your simple syrup here in the bottom. I'm just going to do 2 because this is a very refreshing drink. You're also going to need a few slices of lime. I'm going to put 2 in this glass because it is quite delicious. And remember, there is lemon juice in the syrup. And we're just going to add some ice to this. Some ice here. My glass is melting. And we're going to add a little bit of this white grapefruit soda. And it is just, it fizzes up really wonderfully. It's very pretty. You just give it a little stir to help the syrup mix in there. And you can see this is just a really fresh and spritzy. It's super easy. You don't need a ton of ingredients here. You could use any kind of citrus fruit. You could actually add fresh raspberries on top. You know, I often do a little bit more lemon juice in my syrup, and I can just add a little water and it becomes lemonade. This is a very, very versatile little cocktail here, or mocktail here. And so one thing I want to touch on before I move on to my quote unquote advanced mocktail drink. I know some of you probably make cocktails at home, and you probably know your stuff. You have your special cocktail equipment, but you could also do a lot of these with just a little bit of fruit and infused water. What I like to do at home for infused water, I just take my cleaned out coffee press with the plunger. I put some citrus fruits in the bottom, press it down, and I've got flavored water that I can use as a base for simple syrups, mocktails, you name it. So that's something that you guys might want to consider if you're just looking to have a refreshing option at home. But I'm going to move on because my favorite thing in this world is a margarita. And in the South, the way we do it is we like them spicy. So what I'm going to show you guys here is I've got some jalapeno chopped up. And you can use a little bit of chili as well if you want. That makes it really spicy. But I just thinly sliced some jalapenos here. And we're going to do a pineapple jalapeno margarita, but virgin. Okay, everybody, we're going to be able to drive home after this. So what I have is my simple syrup, yet again, that I did. My simple syrup is the base. You just do the plain syrup as a base, and you can add fruit. You can add whatever. I added jalapeno to mine and let it sit in the refrigerator for about 2 hours. This is a very, very spicy syrup. Label this if you put it in the fridge. The worst thing in the world is to have a small child or a spouse or a partner or anyone come running in demanding milk or yogurt or something because you put jalapenos in your simple syrup. So we're gonna get our shaker out. I have here is some pineapple juice. I get as natural as possible for fresh juices. If I can't squeeze them myself or press them myself, I'm not pressing a whole pineapple. That's ridiculous. I went to Farm Boy and got the Black River pineapple juice. You want to give it a little shake because there's some sediment in the bottle. Give it a good shake. And so for a single serving portion, you do 1/2 cup. If you wanted to make this for yourself and a partner, you would do a full cup. Just be careful because you're going to be putting quite a bit of the syrup in as well. So you really want to make sure it's well diluted with something sweet to balance off that spicy. So into our cocktail shaker, we're going to do the 1/2 cup of the pineapple juice right in there. We're gonna take our jalapeno syrup. This makes me excited and scared at the same time. So I like to get the jalapenos actually out of I like to dig a few out and then do 2 to 3 teaspoons of the syrup. You wanna be able to taste it. If you have chili in it, just do the 1 teaspoon. All right, so we're gonna add some ice to our shaker. Very important. You want ice, ice, ice. And you're also gonna add ice to the glass that you'll be serving in. So I like to put quite a bit. If I'm doing 2 servings especially, I really want this to be a cold drink, even though we're not using any alcohol. So now that we've got our syrup, we've got our pineapple juice, and we've got some jalapenos on standby, I've also got a 1/4 cup of lime juice in here. Very important. You want to balance out the pineapple with a little bit of lime. So in it goes. And now we're going to put the strainer on. And I'm going to have to mute you guys because I am a very vigorous shaker. This is going to be very loud, and I do not want to make you all go deaf. So I'll be back.
I did receive a question about sending the recipe, so I'm going to ask Andrea.
Absolutely.
Were you able to hear that?
I was.
Okay.
I muted myself. I don't know. I'm hoping that worked the way I hoped it worked, and I was just muted.
Yes.
And you guys.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you could. Awesome. So would we be able to post the recipes for, the community?
Yes, I will send a follow-up email if you like, or if you just give me a second at the end when you're doing the wrap-up, I can type them all up because I just have them written down.
Oh, no. We can, we'll add it to the Algonquin College Always Connected website with the recording. And then we're going to submit a post on MyAC, which is just an internal communication platform, and then we can send it out. So yeah, you just email me the recipes just whenever you have a moment.
Absolutely. And so what I like to do is I like to turn it so that the drink is visible, and I like to throw some fresh jalapeno. You can also do chilies again as your garnish. Just make sure you get the seeds out. But it just looks really pretty in a little mason jar glass. And in my house, for non-alcoholic cocktails, we don't do salt on the rim, but you could absolutely do salt on the rim with this. I like to do it with chips. I like to do it with chips and salsa and tacos and any kind of fare, because this is a little bit spicy, but the sweetness is just so delicious. It's incredible how flavorful that is. So I'm just going to, let's see, do we have time for just one more, or are we gonna?
Yep, yeah, we have time for another one.
We have time for one more, sorry. I'm just going to grab my last glass because we are a little full at my table, so just hang on a moment. I just set aside my Roscoe glass. I've named my giant wine glass Roscoe. He's been a faithful friend for a very long time throughout this isolation period. And so what I would like to introduce is just a little bit of what I call just a fruit jumbo sangria. You can do this with any fruit juice. What I like to use is either, again, a little bit of simple syrup, but I like to do either tropical fruits with a little bit of citrus fruits. So I like to make sure that because this is a sangria, you want it fruit loaded. So I do every kind of complementary fruit I can think of. I've got big grapefruit slices that I do here. And the whole point is so that you can have your fruit visible in the glass for this one. You want everyone to be able to see what's in the mixture, what everyone is going to be drinking, essentially. And you want them to feel as though they can determine everything in the glass. And so sangria is typically made with a wine. That's the cocktail. It's usually a red wine and jumbo fruits. So we're going to go ahead here. So I've just got in this pot, I just heated up a small batch of pineapple lime syrup. So I did have lime syrup, and I just added some pineapple juice to that. So in it goes. We're also gonna add some berry fruits. I've got some blueberries here that I just rinsed the little plastic container that it came in. And I toss those in because they do bob around in the drink and make it very, very pretty. And so I'm just gonna add a little bit of flavor syrup to this so that it makes a really pretty color. Very refreshing. And then we're gonna top off with a little bit more of the pineapple juice and then top it with a sparkling soda. And so what you can do if you want a little bit more intensity of color, I'll just turn it so you guys can see all the fruits that are in here. Just a really fun representation of everything. What you can do is you can set it in the fridge overnight and it will become this beautiful, beautiful pink. You can add a little bit more lime if you want green represented in there, or if you want to make this into a slush sangria, you just need to pop it into the blender. Just be mindful that blueberries, once grinded up, they are going to have a little bit of pickiness in them. The sediment of the blueberry will be moving around. It'll look more like a smoothie, but it is incredibly delicious and it takes almost no time to put together. So I hope you guys did enjoy these, enjoy seeing these. I'm gonna see if I can get them all lined up for you, all pretty. Let's see what we can do here. Here we go. Everybody represented. Let's move this.
They look amazing.
We had fun today is what we did.
So Andrea, there is a question about a watermelon. How do you make a watermelon Caesar mocktail?
Watermelon Caesar mocktail. So breaking down the Caesar, I see you, I see the thumbs up. So Caesars are typically made with you've got your clamato juice, your vodka, your Worcestershire sauce. Now, when you're taking the bite of alcohol out of something like that, you can still use like a V8 tomato juice. If you want watermelon, it's actually going to be quite a bit more watermelon heavy so that you can taste it. So I would do frozen water. You'll have to freeze the watermelon, get it nice and cold. So 30 minutes so that the edges get cold and not completely frozen. I would actually strain, blend and strain it so that you get the pure juice out of that watermelon. And you would have to take about a half a watermelon to get half a pitcher. Let's see if we can get a pitcher here. Half a watermelon would just give you over 2.5 cups once frozen and squeezed. I would add a 1/4 cup of my simple syrup, so water sugar ratio. Take a half a cup of that, and then you would use your V8 juice. Now you would have to leave out the Worcestershire, but you could add a bite of lime. You could add a little bit of pink Himalayan salt. You can absolutely still add your celery. I'm trying to think of what else you would be able to keep in if you're taking the vodka out. And then another option is that you could freeze the whole thing, as a lot of people probably do. I'm actually going to try that because just thinking about it makes it sound very delicious. I've never done a virgin Caesar, but all of the ingredients sound like my favorite salsa. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Andrea.
Sure.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Feel free to type them in the chat, or you can use the raise hand feature. Just give it a couple more.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think that's it. But like we're getting a lot of great feedback. Andrea, you're getting a lot of great feedback. Looks delicious. Thank you. Wonderful. Awesome. So we're hoping we'll have the recipes up on the Algonquin College Student Support Services website by tomorrow. And then we'll just keep everyone updated by sending out either an email or adding it to my AC so you can all have access to those. So thank you so much, Andrea, for joining us. It was so great to see you. I hope you're well, and so great to see everyone else who signed in today. Thank you so much.
So glad you guys could join me. Happy Canada Day, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.